God doesn't match people based on mix and match.
Yeah.
He matches people based on destiny and purpose, you know. So when you get to the other side, you realize that even in marriage, it's not love that makes people be together.
Yeah.
It's more of purpose.
Ask a woman, what kind of man do you want? Financially stable, at least
Six-pack.
educated, six-pack, tall, dark, and handsome. Then I will make it better by saying, God-fearing. You see?
Do you think we don't mean that we make it better?
It's just to balance the scale. The reality is it's not actually meant.
And I love the reality, by the way.
The way God has wired the male person and the female person, these are not two people that can compete one another, regardless. They cannot compete. They're supposed to complement.
Yeah.
And the complementing that I'm talking about here is whereby a woman knows her place and the man knows his place.
Karibuni sana. Once again, it's Rising Above with Eva. And today I have amazing people on the show. Aish! Bro. Tuanzia hapa. Huyu anaitwa daktari. Okay, this is doctor. Okay? Tunamaliza tu hivyo. And then and then we have pastor, reverend, prophet Steve Omodex. All right? This guy, I've known this guy for a decade. I don't say decade, Imepita decades, And I'm so honored to have you today, by the way.
Thank you.
It's been long, and I'm honored to have you today, right? Daktari, I'm honored to have you today. Kizungu ficha hapa nyuma kidogo. Usichomoe kizungu yote tafadhali. Ama mnitafutie dictionary. Nitafutie dictionary. Ndio daktari akichomoa kizungu ninatafuta kwa dictionary kwanza. So anyway, today we are talking about there's something happening in the society, in our community, and I bet everyone will agree with me. There's a rising of single ladies, like married and then divorced or separated, and then there are people like us who are just single. You get, not married, not dating, nothing. Si ati tunataka, by the way, kwa honest. Si ati tunataka kukua single, okay? I'm not saying singlehood is bad, so don't get me wrong, okay? Ina depend kenye unataka, but there's that rising we're seeing in the society right now, and when we go back to the scripture, we realize something is not matching up somewhere, you know? There's a lot of divorce, there's a lot of separation, and all that. But then I'm talking about the young people like us who are supposed to be married, but we are not. And if you've decided not to get married, then this is not yours. So my question is, or what I want us to talk about is, gentlemen, because you're men, and this is going to be a man talk. Where are the men? Wanaume walienda wapi? Why are we witnessing a lot of single ladies who are supposed to get married, but they are not? Because pasi wata niwaambie ukweli, tunajigambanga huko nje. Ati me, I'm fine, I don't need a man. Ni uongo, okay? Yeah. If I'm being honest, hata mimi najifanyanga, I don't need a man. Uongo. Nikirudi kwa nyumba, I'm like, God, what is your problem? Okay? Yeah. Okay. So to be honest, because I've sat with so many of them who shout out there like, and then you sit down and they're like, to be honest. So this the to be honest part. So I was looking at it and I'm like, I think we need to talk about it, Daktari, because you're the men. And I've never been a man, so I can't talk for the men. So that's why you're on the show. From the man's perspective, mulienda wapi? What is happening to the man's society that you're realizing there's a lot of single women? And number two, as you connect to that also, I want us to look at this again. There's a rising of an alpha woman, if there's anything like that. Daktari aliambia kuna kitu kayo. There's a rising of an alpha woman, like this woman who's educated, this woman who is stable, driving her car, paying her rents, her apartment, or living in her house. And then there's this other man who is not quite educated, who is still hustling, doesn't have a job, or is in between 3 or 4 jobs, you know. How does this man, who is called the better man, match up with the alpha woman? because it's becoming an issue. So I wanted to hear from the men's perspective. Number one, what is happening to the men out there? Is there a problem? And how does God bring in a solution in this problem? Okay, because God has always a solution, right? Then number two, how does a better man match up with this alpha woman who is taking leadership and control and is the boss lady? So daktari, hebu tuanzie hapo alafu tukuje kwa pastor.
So the first question was, what has happened to the men?
Yeah.
Men are available everywhere.
Where?
Okay, I'll give you a pin location. Men are available everywhere. Let's just say the rising standards have made it very difficult for not the uneducated woman, but the uninformed woman to realize the kind of men that are available. So we are in a generation where everything is very instant. You want a cab, you call for a cab from the comfort of your home. Everything that you need is just on your phone, and you don't have to walk up to get it. And that's the expectation that our sisters have when it comes to marriage. It is easy for a man to pick his neighbor's house girl and upgrade her to the kind of wife he wants. But it's rare to hear that a woman has picked her neighbor's shamba boy and upgraded that shamba boy into a man.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
So our value system, or what we consider valuable in a man, is a bit not stable. I'll say it's not really stable. Everybody has their perception of who the right kind of man is. So we find that the scales that we have placed, or the standards that we have set, then can only be met by men who've already been taken.
What do you mean standards?
When you said you were describing the better man,
Yes.
and you described the alpha woman, you spoke about financial freedom mostly, okay, and that is actually the core of it all. Ask any man, what kind of woman do you want? They'll be like loyal, respectful, submissive, things that we can't buy. Ask a woman, what kind of man do you want? Financially stable, at least educated, six-pack, tall, dark, and handsome. Then now we make it better by saying, God-fearing. You see?
Do you think we don't mean that we make it better?
It's just to balance the scale. The reality is it's not actually meant.
And I love the reality, by the way.
So men are available. But I think what you're looking at is what is not common. We are avoiding the things that are intangible, things that, take time to create. We want things that we can see. At least from my experience, I've sat down in counseling with ladies who are actually looking for husbands, and the conversation boils down to what is considered alpha.
Exactly. So what is considered alpha?
Now, if I take the men's perspective, values should be considered alpha.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in short, if I'm hearing correct, are you saying we are overreaching? In essence, our expectations are weird.
They are, I'll say, very trivial, if you allow me to. These things can be bought, I can win a jackpot and get all those financially stable, nice car, get double injection a week of steroids, get a six-pack. Those things can be bought, but values cannot be bought.
But they're talking about it makes it look very stupid. Like, what are we running after? Because you're just talking about steroids, and I'm like, okay, that makes it look really stupid. I think we run for the physical, but we fail to understand what is actually the essence of a relationship, right? Pasi?
Yes.
Perspective of a pastor. This one is a psychologist. This one is a pastor.
Wow, this is a good conversation, and thank you for having me on set. I think what the doctor said doesn't really differ much from the Christendom perspective, because looking at the question that you've asked, where are the men? Men are there, and some have even been born today, and some will be born tomorrow. Men are there, because if you look at God, His entire picture of creation is that there must be the continuity of generations, and it is the man that carries the seed, you know. So, and God is so jealous about the seed of a man, and that's why even in Sodom and Gomorrah, He had to really deal with them when they tried to mess with the seed, you know. And in the time of Abraham, he was very categorical. It was not in Ishmael. It had to come through Sarah and through, you know, Isaac. So men are there. I think I'll just echo what you said, and then I'll maybe push into maybe a little bit of Christendom circles.
Yes, please.
What ladies are looking for, in my view as a pastor, is that they're looking for things that are easily available. And whatever is of value has to be sought after. You have to dig deeper beyond what the surface value. If maybe I would put it this way, man is a tripartite being. This is what I mean. Man is a spirit. He has a body, and he has a soul. The things he's talking about that are not tangible are found in that dimension of the spirit, the soul. Forget about the body. So values, these are things that emanate from the soul of a man. So if a lady does not see a man beyond the six figures, there is nothing wrong with that, by the way. Money answers all things. If the lady doesn't see a man beyond the six-pack, beyond tall, dark, and handsome, she will never find what she's looking for. Because within every man, there's a tag of greatness in a man. And it's upon a lady to see the greatness in a man. Because even when you come to the context of marriage and relationships, God doesn't match people based on mix and match. He matches people based on destiny and purpose, you know. So when you get to the other side, you realize that even in marriage, it's not love that makes people be together. It's more of purpose and agenda, fulfilling a certain prophetic destiny. So that way you're able to balance the equation and realize that men have always been there, but what we are looking for is what is lacking. And the other question you asked, what's this alpha woman? Daktari umesema daktari alikwambia kwamba hiyo kitu haiko. Sasa mimi nitasema iko kwa sababu sasa he is looking from probably his scope of knowledge, and nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
Perspectives differ, but we're all driving at the same point.
And it's healthy.
The male, the alpha female, in what I would describe it, in my view, is an empowered woman. See, there is nothing wrong with empowering women. I believe in women being empowered. I mean, we are not living in the 1600s. People need to be empowered. The problem is, what is the motive behind the empowerment? Because if we empower somebody with the notion that what a man can do, a woman can do, then we miss it all. Understand?
I agree.
The way God has wired the male person and the female person, these are not two people that can compete one another, regardless. They cannot compete. They're supposed to complement. And the complementing that I'm talking about here is whereby a woman knows her place and the man knows his place. So that man as a priest, man as a king, man as a provider, which I think Daktari ameandika kitabu yake, those three aspects, no matter how much a woman is empowered, she can never perform those duties.
Exactly.
That's where now the difference comes in.
Wow, that was really nice. Now, as you're talking, I'm just thinking of when I was growing up, I saw my grandmother work so hard for her marriage. It wasn't a very good marriage. I didn't like it. Actually asked her several times, why did you stay? Right? I saw some of my aunties work out for their marriage. They would run away for 2 days or 3 days and then go back, right? But they stayed. Now we are having a generation where people get married for 2 months and they're out. through 3 weeks after honeymoon and they're out, you know, a year and they're out. And being a pastor, I've sat on the desk and listened to so many stories and I'm like, I can't get the issue. What's the issue? You know? So basically maybe when you dig deeper, you'll realize maybe sex or whatever. But then you're like, these things are reconcilable. You get? I'm not talking about where there is physical abuse and all that, but I'm just talking about what is going on in our society right now that is like marriage is no longer what God intended it to be, for better or for worse.
Right.
Tunasemanga tu kwa mdomo, right? 2 weeks down the line, oh, he's not doing this. Oh, he wasn't doing this. Oh, some of this, don't get me wrong, some of those excuses are real, right? But where did the passion go for fighting for a marriage together? Where did that go? Because I saw it with my grandmother. And then I started traveling, right? And being exposed. And now watching and reading. And I'm like, okay, this is not what my grandmother taught me, right? I'm seeing nowadays people just walk out of marriages like that. And if you look like, oh, he's not what he said he was. He doesn't have money. Oh, he doesn't have... My question is, what is actually going on? Because men, you can tell me. You know, I'm not a man. I've never been in a man's skin. And I don't even desire to. Right? Because you guys have a lot of work to do and I don't want to. So the thing is, what exactly is happening? You're married. You guys, please talk to us and let us know. Ni nini na happen kwa hizi marriages uko ndani? Mnafanya nanga nini uko ndani? What's exactly going on in our society? Because people are no longer willing to fight for their marriages. What exactly is going on?
Maybe I will chip in before.
Please
Dr.
do,
takes it.
Pasi.
You see, when the intention is wrong from the beginning, no matter how beautiful the wedding is, it can't hold.
Wow.
What this generation is looking at when it comes to marriage, they're looking at superficial things. We are looking at a car. A car is just something that can get an accident tomorrow and it's no longer there. You look at the things people, most ladies, not all, majority in our generation are looking at. They're looking at a tall, dark, and handsome person. Nothing wrong with that. Preferences are different. I married a tall woman. It's my preference. Nothing wrong with that, you know. But if this person gets an accident and is amputated, the height is gone. Right? Yeah, the height is gone. So we're looking at superficial things. The difference between that generation and this generation is that people were taught values. These are things you can't buy. These are things that come from within. We were taught honesty. Ukiwa mtoi, we thank God we grew up in the village. Thank God we had that test. Ukiiba sukari, ulikuwa unajua utapigwa. So you knew that it is wrong to steal a simple thing like sugar. But this generation, they don't just steal sugar. They steal the honey pot. Yote wanabeba ndani. So, you know, and they feel nothing about it. The society that we're living in has, in my view, has exalted a woman more like a sex object. And so to say that, more like a tool that pleases a man. You know, I've never been to a strip club, but the pictures we see out there about strip clubs, you will always see the picture of a woman.
Yeah.
She's been presented as a tool to please a man, and she has accepted that, unfortunately. Yeah. So what she's bringing on the table is sex and children. So with that picture, what do you think this woman will be looking for? She will not be looking for security in a man. She will not be looking for support in a man. She'll be looking for satisfaction. And there are things that satisfaction alone can't be able to help. Things like values, things like honesty, truth, love, patience, peace. All these things can't be bought with money. These are things that are within a person. So the point I'm trying to drive home is this, that marriage in itself is God's idea. And whatever is God's idea has its manual. There's a way things must be followed. For instance, whatever you get by prayer, you must sustain by prayer. Mm-hmm. So if you are getting into marriage for the wrong reasons, then definitely 1 week down the line, it won't hold. I have handled a case in some of the counseling sessions I've had where someone got married to someone simply because alimwambia tampeleka maju.
Bas.
You get. So this lady quits her job, a well-paying job, and says yes to a man who she has met online, right? So this guy flies to the country,
What?
sleeps with the lady, she loses her job, and after that the guy disappears because she didn't see beyond the promises. So she wanted to get into marriage for the wrong reasons. We don't build friendship. In marriage, you don't marry a stranger. You must build friendship. That's why we have courtship and you have dating. You build friendship over time. You don't marry a stranger. Because once you get in marriage, there's a season in marriage where love will not hold you.
Yeah.
It is purpose that will hold
Yeah.
you. It is the vision. It is the mutual things that put you together. In fact, it is not children that hold people together. Your grandmother and my parents and our grandparents held themselves together because there was something bigger than just sex
Yeah.
and children. As a matter of fact, kids grow. None of us here is in their mother's house right now.
No.
So where are our parents? They're still in the village with our fathers and
Yes.
their mothers. They're still together. What is that thing that put them together? It is values. Because values, if you don't inculcate them in you at an early stage, you can't buy them in the next shopping mall. Yeah.
Hold that thought. As you're talking about, I know you're about to say something, but just hold it a little bit. As you're talking about that, I'm just trying to think. Let me just throw this out there.
Right.
See how you react to it. When you go back to Genesis, the man is the one that carries the seed, right? Then he gives to the woman.
Right.
That puts the man in the leadership position.
Right.
So if you ask me, is the man failing? Because all these separations and all these single women like us who can find husbands, okay, yes, I said it. Is the man failing in his responsibility? Hence, the woman lacks a sense of direction. And I'm not talking about the woman in the political, in the marketplace. The woman in the marketplace is a go-getter, is a leader and all that. I'm talking about the woman in the house now. You know, that leader in the marketplace who comes in the house. Because in the house, I'm no longer a leader, you are. So if you're failing in the house as a leader, don't you think I will lose purpose in the house? I don't know what to do with myself. And so I'm going to wait for you to act up. If you're not acting up, I'm going to walk out. You get?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. Guys talk about, because I'm thinking all this failure, okay, blame a man.
Well, I think it's true. It's true to an extent. Of course, the male child has failed to an extent. If you, as a man, you don't really know your position, definitely there's an empowered woman and a man who is not empowered for an empowered woman. That's a failing project from the beginning.
Yes.
You see, in as much as we want to empower women, the boy child has to be empowered. See, if we are in the house, as a man, I'm supposed to be a provider, I'm supposed to be a protector, and I'm doing nothing about these things. And I have an empowered woman. What will she do? She will do exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
And if she does that, she will assume my position. Now, the error is this. Naturally, God has made me who I am. So, we will start fighting over what I'm supposed to do because naturally that's my space. That's where God has put me to be. You understand? So, for the men who have failed, me I would say it kila mtu abebe mzigo yake. Kwa sababu you don't get into marriage or you don't start dating if you have not identified your sole purpose and responsibility. That's why marriage is not for boys, it's for men.
For men.
Maturity is very key. Dating is not for children, it's for men. Maturity is very key. And it begins from a place of knowing what is my purpose. When I'm bringing this lady in my life, what is she coming to do? So the roles have to be outlined from the beginning. We don't wait to get into marriage and then we start fighting and saying, you know what, mimi ndio mwanaume hapa. Wewe kazi yako ni jikoni. We don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, we don't, sitaki kuita tribe, lakini kule kwenye mimi nimetoka ushago, kwenye nimelelewa, tuko na ile kitu tunasemanga, I'm the man of the house. Utaniambia kitu mimi ni mwanaume. We are beyond those days.
But I think even saying that means that you have a problem.
Exactly.
Why are you saying it?
You have to stamp it
Just
by
do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
But when you do your responsibility,
Exactly.
automatically things flow. If a man has to remind a woman every time that he's a man, then he's not a man. it means he's failing in a certain area
Exactly.
of his life. So the men who actually are not doing that, I think Daktari will help them.
Daktari, talk about it, because you've written a book about the man, be the man. You say the man is the principal leader. Let me just get your book. So this is Daktari's book, right? And in this book, you're saying the man is supposed to be the principal leader, the priest, the provider, and the protector.
Right.
Right? And as I read about it, I was like you're just going back to Genesis, what God stamped already, you know. So my question is, talking about the same thing, I want you to come in with what Pastor Steve has said. Let us hear the perspective of a psychologist.
You said marriages are not holding now.
Yes.
You know, man is a product of the gene and the environment. Okay. In the environment where the three of us grew up, I heard you speaking of the village. I am the alpha village boy. I think I have more village experience than the two of you combined. I grew up in a generation where we had someone to repair, a basin if it had a crack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we used to listen to Salams za KBC.
Yes.
And the famous person was Fundi wa Radio. Omnyololo. There was a guy who comes to fix the metallic pan,
Yes.
okay, and the sufurias and the umbrellas, you know. In that generation, we didn't stop a journey because we had a tire puncture. Okay, we repaired it and continued. Now we are in the I generation, instant things generation, where we get everything when we need them. We upgrade every other day. So, for a period of time, the phone looked the same. Okay. There was no upgrade. It is where we hung it.
Yeah.
It was either on the wall or on the table and stuff. But now we came into an advent where you have an iPhone today, tomorrow there's iPhone 10, then came iPhone 11. There's an upgrade.
Right.
So we have been conditioned to upgrade whatever we feel is failing. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't fix it.
We don't fix it. We have no
Wow.
skill for fixing.
Right.
That's deep.
Now that is our generation. The fixing skill is not there. You know, from the time you're dating someone, like the time you marry them, you've heard this statement, if it is difficult to achane nayo 1,001 times.
Yes.
See, it means this person comes in already with the exit door key, you know, and they're always ready to use it. My grandmother did not get married. She didn't have courtship before marriage. She one day went to the river and was whisked away by a man.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that is the basis of why their marriages lasted. Because the first day she looked at my grandfather as a monster, okay, who had snatched her from her mother's home. Then the second day it was a bit, you know, she realized, oh, this monster can actually bring me milk and meat. Okay. Then a day after she realized, oh, this monster is actually a protector. Then she starts falling in love with his strength by learning.
Yes.
In our generation, I take you out, you come with makeup.
Yes.
You have made up your mistakes. Now you look perfect.
Yeah.
So I look at you and see the perfect person.
Right.
Okay. And when I get married to you, that's when I realize that you snow at night.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have a patch on your face. Okay. That usually concealed with concealers. Okay. Now the reality dawns on us in marriage after we have committed. Okay? That can't hold much.
Yes.
Wow.
No matter how we try.
Right.
So we have wrong foundations.
Wrong foundations.
So in this generation, unless someone is very intentional about bettering themselves, I think only 2 out of 10 married couples have gone through the right process. Because before you get married, you must first go for a self-therapy. Know what your traumas are. Know what your motivations are. Know why you are wired the way you're wired. because I will not help you understand me unless I understand myself.
Right.
Then now, after I have understood who I am and you have understood who you are, then we can go for joint therapy, premarital counseling. Okay. Now we come from a point of knowledge. This is how Blacks operates. This is how he thinks, and this is how Eva operates, and this is how she thinks. Now, the therapist helps us merge our way of thinking. Okay. So the therapist, be it a professional therapist or a spiritual leader, helps us have a basis of solving our issues if they come, or making our decisions. He said that what you get in prayer, you must sustain in prayer. He said there must be a moral compass. See? He said you must go back to the manual. So how do you create a culture that has an integrated manual? It is now for you to follow the right procedure. So I think what we lack is people being intentional. We are doing things for PR. Yeah. All your friends have gotten married.
Yeah.
You also want to get married. They have husbands that are, let's say, driving 4-wheel drives. So those of us who are on motorbikes, you won't see her, okay? Because you want to match up, okay?
Mnatuambia vibaya.
Even for the men.
But ni ukweli.
All your friends have wives who have calves, okay? And the one that your eyes has seen doesn't have calves, okay? She is as straight as you are. That doesn't make her a bad person. All shapes are good, okay? So,
Okay, doctor.
so we have a problem with our foundation.
Yeah,
We have to accept that our generation has not been taught to fix.
We don't want to fix.
Yeah.
We want to upgrade.
Want to
That
upgrade
is
and
really deep.
replace.
And replace.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's mentioned something very powerful there, that this generation enters into marriage or relationships with an exit key in their hands. See, the moment you get into a relationship or whatever it is, with the thought that I can walk out of it, ultimately, you'll walk out of it.
Yeah. You will.
Because the mind has a way of factoring in. If this guy or this lady does anything that I don't like, I won't fix it, I'll walk out. So with that, the foundation is already shaky. It's faulty from the word go.
Yeah.
So when you find easy exits, you know, back in the days, our grandmothers, if they ever went back to their father's home, they would be taken back to their husband's home.
Yes.
So they had to
With
fix.
tokens.
Yes, with yeah.
What do you mean with tokens?
You didn't go back empty-handed.
Yes.
Once you go to your mother's house, you come, with some tokens. You have flour, you have
Yes.
some
Yes.
tokens for your husband.
Yeah.
But now,
Your mother will tell you go back.
Go
Yeah?
back.
The parents
go back.
will tell you go
Go
back.
fix it.
You know.
And they will not give you the money.
But nowadays,
Go
I
fix
think
it.
the parents are like, stay here.
Mami, it's a mami generation.
Yeah.
Daddy. Una imagine mse ameolewa, ameoa na baba yake, mama yake anamuita kababa. You know. So you have 3 children and your mother is calling you kababa. Your mother is still buying your boxer. So or you're a lady and you're still a mommy's girl. So anything that happens in your marriage, you must call mommy. This guy today he woke up on his left side. So how will you fix it?
You can't.
You can't.
You can't. And that takes me to this other issue that concerns us, concerns this culture. There's a trend of a man, and I really, really need you guys to be vulnerable and talk about this. Because it's annoying, it annoys me. Let me just talk, it really disgusts me. Dr. Blacks, you've talked about a man being the principal leader, the priest, the provider, and the protector. All right? And I say this takes us back to Genesis, where the man, the first thing God did when he created man, he gave him work. Right? Before he brought Eve into the picture, he knew man was stable enough to provide for her. You get? We are seeing the same thing with Isaac and Abraham. We're seeing the same thing, with Abraham and Sarah, sorry. And then we're seeing the same thing with Isaac and Rebecca. And all through, right? Then we're having this generation where a man is comfortable to be provided for by a woman. You get? You're dating. In the morning, I was called 6 in the morning. I was called and I was being given this story. I don't know whether that person knew I coming to talk about this. I don't know. But they're just random people. And it's like there's this lady who's dating this guy, and this guy is jobless. This guy has 4 kids. This guy is sickly. So the lady, they're still dating. So the lady has gone ahead and taken for her insurance, taken for him insurance, paying his bills, doing ABCD for his kids. And I'm like, how dare you as a man, you're comfortable, me as a woman providing for you. And don't get me wrong, there's a time when a man is down. You're allowed to step in and help this man because he's going to spring back up and take his responsibility. But I'm sorry to say our generation, because nime dates, wase kama how, I have sat with the ladies and when the moment they start stories, you hear the stories come up. And they're like, hey, what's going on? Like a man just sits there, si ati ni mgonjwa. Ako sawa, ako healthy, nini. But anataka wo provide. You get? See that he will come on the top and take his responsibility as a man. Now, he's very comfortable in using your Wi-Fi, watching TV, stupid things, right? No man a job, using your water, using the food in the fridge, using everything, and also asking you for fare and buy me boxer, buy me this, do for me this, do for me this. And they actually open their mouth and ask. Something is wrong because when I studied the word, it doesn't tell me that. And God can never lie. You get? So if you're not doing it the scriptural way, something is wrong. But because I'm not a man, please help me understand. Ni nini bana nyinyi? What is wrong with you? Okay.
I think the whole society is rotten. Okay. We've had a discussion, and I said, when we talk about the absence of fathers and fatherhood, we should realize that actually also the absence of motherhood is a crisis we are not ready to talk about.
Wow, okay.
Because an absent father commits the sin of omission, but the present mother will commit the sin of commission.
Yeah, wow. Break it down.
So a man has to be nurtured by a mother, but he can only be made a man by another man.
Whoa, wait, what did you say? Repeat that statement.
A man has to be nurtured by the mother, but he has to be made a man by another man.